expanding in another dimension. Okay, well, let's move right on to the next listener phone call.
Hi, this is Kenneth, listening to you on GCN. I would like to ask what your theory is on, actually my theory, that the reason why human beings and other animals don't have green fur or blue fur. I think it's probably because we're larger creatures, so that when the forest burns down or when the grass fields dry up, everything turns brown, and therefore animals and humans with like green or brown, with like brown fur would blend into like the dirt. Whereas, like other creatures that are smaller, like insects or lizards, they would be green because they could blend in with the vegetation or, like fly away or scamper to another forest. Human beings and other like mammals are larger, and so their fur would not be green because that would not be conducive to camouflage with the sky. But a butterfly, for example, that's blue and small can camouflage with the sky, whereas we cannot. So that's my theory on why, human beings do not have like green hair or like blue hair. I'd just like to know what your thoughts on that are. Thank you for your time.
Well, your theory is not too far away from evolutionary theory, which simply says that animals change generation by generation with survival for the fittest. So I think you're using that methodology, that there is a reason why certain animals have certain colors. It's because it makes their survival value higher. They can survive better to create children, to perpetuate their genes to create the next generation. So that's the basic thrust of evolution, which is also the basic thrust of your thinking. Now, of course, the precise mechanism differs from the standard theory. The standard theory would simply say that bears are brown, for example, because most of the leaves in the forest are brown. Yes, there are green leaves as well, but when you look at the habitat, the actual habitat of many of these animals, they do live in savannas. They do live in areas where there's lots of brown leaves and brown trees. Now, of course, there's bound to be exceptions to this. Lizards, for example, and reptiles could be green. But the methodology that you are mentioning is roughly the same as evolutionary theory, and that is there's a reason. Now, that's not the only theory. Another theory simply says that's the way it is. That's the way the universe was created by God or whatever. That's how they were created, and they've been that way ever since. But if you look at the fossil record, you begin to realize that, well, we used to have dinosaurs. They don't exist anymore. In fact, if you count the fossils underneath your feet, you count them right underneath your feet right now, you begin to realize that 99.9% of those animals are now extinct. They don't walk the surface of the earth anymore. And so, going backwards in time, we see a continual change, that animals do change generation by generation. And the mechanism for change is that you have a higher survival value, which is, of course, where you're coming from, that animals have a certain color for a reason. It's not because they were simply created that way, or magic, or whatever. It's because it increases their survival, and so they can survive to propagate their genes. Now, the precise mechanism differs, of course, from the standard theory, but I think you're leading in that direction, and that is there is a rhyme or reason to the reason why Mother Nature is the way it is, and it's because of survival of the fittest. Okay, well, let's move on to the next listener phone call.
Hello, my name is Patrick.